This is Fred Beck from Fred Talks Fighting, and today I'm very lucky to be joined by Akin Reyes, also known as Ak. So thank you very much for coming on.
Pleasure to be here.
So what are you doing now? You're in New York. I've always wanted to go to New York. What's it like there?
It's an amazing place, but with COVID-19, everywhere around the world is very different from what it once was. So it's not the best time to come, visit as a tourist. Things are closed down and closed early. So, but nevertheless, still a great city.
In a few years' time, when I have enough money, I'll come on over. So you've lived in New York for a long time. You boxed an amateur there. You've had over 70 years, over 70 fights as an amateur. And your brother, he turned professional. Did you ever consider turning pro?
Yes, I mean that was the plan as I was younger. I started boxing at 8 years old. By the time I was 14, 15, that was the plan. But I started to gain passion for basketball and other things, acting. So I kind of drifted away from the gym. But the passion for boxing was always there, which is why I circled back around and I'm doing this for a living.
Do you think the fact that your brother turned over taught you a lot more about the boxing business and learned how professional game really works?
Yeah, I learned a lot from that, from him being signed to Don King for 4 years. That actually gave me a lot of insight about the business, which kind of even helps to this day, me analyzing the sport.
And now you have your own radio show on Sirius XM, the Akin Barak show, also on Dazn. How did you come to that? Because I remember you've had loads of radio stations before that. Am I right?
Yeah. I mean, we worked at other internet radio stations over the years. I started covering the sport like 2010, 2011, just as a hobby. But then after a couple of years working on several internet radio stations, which they weren't, they weren't national broadcast type of radio stations. Sirius XM, which is satellite radio here, has over 30 million subscribers. They contacted us and wanted us to wanted to offer us a show once a week on Fight Nation Sirius XM. This was back in 2015, so about over 5 years ago, and that's where it started on a more national level. And then afterwards, 2018, after the success of that show, 2018, Dazn launched in America and offered us our own TV show called The Sweet Scientist on Dazn, which started in 2018.
And which do you prefer doing more, the Akin Barak show or the pull-up?
Well, I mean, we enjoy the pull-up. The pull-up is our most successful segment. It's the one that the people love the most, because even people that aren't fight fans can enjoy and appreciate that type of content. So, we miss the pull-up. I mean, I enjoy both, but Barak and I love being out and about on the streets, shooting, man on the street type of thing. So we definitely miss the pull-up. I would have to say that's probably my favorite segment. And God willing, in 2021, we're going to start shooting the pull-up again.
Oh, so I bet everyone can't wait. So let's now move into the boxing. We've had some great fights over the last month and a half. Andy Joshua, Canelo Alvarez, Ryan Garcia, big mainstream stars. And it hasn't been a great last month and a half for the UK fans. Both fighters, Luke Campbell losing, Callum Smith losing. But let's just start with Canelo. I mean, a fantastic performance, because Callum Smith's an incredible fighter. He was Ring Magazine champion. He beat world champions before Canelo Alvarez. But what did you make of Canelo's performance?
Canelo's performance was phenomenal. I mean, considering being off for over a year and fighting a guy that was that tall, that long, incredible in Callum Smith. I agree with you. Hell of a fighter. But in this boxing games, it's about levels, and just Canelo is just, a few levels above Callum, with all due respect to him, in terms of like defense, offense, counterpunching, aggressiveness, just too good. Too skilled, so I thought he had a phenomenal performance.
And now the WBC ordered him to fight Yildirim. Is that correct? Is he in that fight
Yes.
in February? I don't understand. What has Yildirim done to become mandatory? I mean, he lost his last fight against Anthony Darrell. Obviously, he sparred Canelo before. He lost to Eubank. If anything, Anthony Darrell should be mandatory. How come Yildirim is mandatory?
I mean, that question has to go more towards the sanctioning body. because they make those decisions. A lot of times people don't agree with them. They don't always make sense. But in terms of Canelo's approaches, he wants to fight 3 times in 2021. If they're ordering that fight, and he just fought December 19th, if he can fight in February, it's okay. In my opinion, it's not a bad thing if he has plans on fighting Billy Joe Saunders and Caleb Plant in the same year. So, a lot of these stars, well, none of them fight 3 times a year. So, with that being said, I don't have a problem with that fight. I don't know why the Odrum ended up being the mandatory, but if that's a fight that's being ordered and Canelo just wants to stay busy this year, I'm okay with that.
And do you think, because before Dazn said they wouldn't be showing that fight, do you think Dazn will show that fight now?
The Yildirim fight?
Yeah.
I mean, if I had to take a guess, I would say so. Because I think Eddie Hearn is trying to create a deal with Canelo's team for that fight, and and the platform, that he works with is Dazn globally. So if that's the case, yes, it would be on Dazn.
If Canelo is going to fight Yildirim in February, then that's a fine fight because it's so soon after a fight to Cameron Smith. But then after that, I think he should fight Billy Joe Saunders. I think Billy Joe Saunders will give Canelo the most trouble because Canelo, he's an incredible fighter, but he's always struggled. Not always struggled, but he's struggled a bit with fighters that have great footwork, right? Fighters that move. For example, Mayweather or Lara.
Yeah.
And Billy Joe Saunders' footwork is on another level. Let's just move down a couple of weights to Ryan Garcia securing an excellent victory over Luke Campbell. Luke Campbell, credit experienced. Obviously, he had the decision lost to Loma. And the fact that he went the distance with Lomachenko and then Ryan Garcia stopping him. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, first off, to touch on what you said earlier, Canelo had issues with Lara, Trout, and Floyd, but that was a long, long time ago. He's developed as a fighter. I mean, so much since then. So I think that he'll be able to deal with that movement a little bit better nowadays. Now, as far as Ryan, he made a statement. I mean, that's what he went out to do something that nobody's been able to do to Luke. Luke on record is saying he's never been hit as hard. Ryan is the hardest puncher he's ever been with. So he went through adversity, which made the fight more dramatic, getting up off the canvas and stopping him. I thought it was a great night for Ryan to prove that he's more than a pretty face.
I mean, Ryan's got the world at his fingertips now. So, I bet you in a few years' time, he'll be the biggest star in the sport. And in the post-fight interview, he called out Tank Davis. I don't know if that Tank fight's going to happen next because he's now mandatory for Devin Haney for WT title. And Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia, they're both on the zone. And then Tank's at Showtime, PBC. Who do you think Ryan will fight next?
I don't know. I mean, personally, I would like to see Ryan fight like a Jorge Linares next. It's a step up, in my opinion, from Luke, and then it'll be proving more, and it'll build a bigger fight against him and Devin Haney or Tank. I think the Tank fight is less likely to happen anytime soon because of the divided lines. But I think Ryan will get a chance to fight Devin Haney sometime this year.
I think that's a good point about Jorge Linares. I think this year he'll probably fight Linares. I agree with that. He'll probably fight Linares and then Devin Haney at the end of the year. And then one more massive fight, which is on the zone. Hopefully, every boxing fan wants it. Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua. It should be next. It probably will be next. And it won't be in the UK because the UK is now in lockdown and British border boxing cancelled the fights. It's ridiculous. But it'll probably be in somewhere like Saudi Arabia or possibly America. If that fight does happen, when do you think it will and who do you think will come up on top?
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll happen maybe in the summertime. And look, I'm an AJ guy. We spend time with AJ in Sheffield, England. We spend time with him in London. When he comes to New York, we always vibe with him. That's our guy. So I'm going to ride with AJ on this one. And I think he'll pull off the victory.
And just one last question, because I know you're a very busy man. Do you any advice for anyone out there now who's struggling? Obviously, America's got a bit crazy right now. England's kind of crazy about the deaths. Do you have any advice for anyone who's struggling right now, COVID-19 or being trapped indoors because of lockdown?
Well, I mean, look, Barak and myself both, we had coronavirus back in March and April. So I know firsthand what the disease does to you for those that are suffering from the actual virus, right? So obviously keeping your immune system is very important in that regard, and keeping a positive mind, not watching the news all day long and the negativity on how bad the virus is. Staying cautious, but you have to monitor what you consume, because if you're home all day, because I suffered from it as well, and watch us, these news outlets that just highlight the deaths and the cases of COVID, it's going to put you in a state of depression and constant anxiety and worry. So the key is to not consume that and focus on having a healthy lifestyle, right? So your immune system is strong enough to deal with anything attacking it, and keep a positive mind frame. A lot of prayer, keep that connection spiritually, with your creator, and keep your mind occupied, whether it's reading books, yoga, gym, not just staying on the sofa all day in front of the TV. I think those are the keys to get through this tough time for those who probably, maybe lost someone. Condolences to all the people that lost someone during this virus. I do feel that God will get us through this. And I think we're going to have a better year. We're dealing with a lot here in America with, people invading the Capitol yesterday, and kind of attacking the democracy here. But I think it's going to get under control really soon, and people will be all right. We will get past this virus, but you got to stay strong mentally.
And that's a very good point about not watching TV all day, because the news is quite depressing at the moment. All right, so thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it. And where can people find you on social media at?
Well, you can find me in Boxing with Ak on Twitter or on Instagram. I'm more active on Instagram, or you can, watch me on Dazn.
All right, so thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it.
All right, Fred, take it easy. Good luck with everything, buddy.
Thank you.